My company went bankrupt, my parents died in a car crash, and my boyfriend cheated on me. I was on my way to end it all when I ran into a mystic. He told me my fate had been stolen, and someone else was enjoying the life of luxury that should have been mine. Miss, let me read your fortune. If I'm wrong, it's free. I was walking like a zombie. Just past this park was the city's most notorious stalled high-rise project. The condo I'd bought was in it. I had just finished my last meal and put on my most expensive outfit, planning to end my short, miserable life in that tallest of towers. Miss, the voice was clear and insistent, with a tone that said he wouldn't give up until I stopped. I turned and saw a startlingly handsome young mystic. He lit up when he saw me turn around and waved frantically. Come on. If I'm wrong, it's free. I thought about it. What the hell? I still had $200 in my Venmo account. Might as well spend it all here. According to the young mystic, he was the 78th generation disciple of a secluded spiritual order, and he was out in the world to gain experience. I eyed the buzz-cut mystic in his blue robes. He looked to be in his early 20s, with strong brows, big eyes, and a healthy sun-kissed complexion. When he smiled, a faint dimple appeared on his cheek. He had that younger, bad boy look that was so popular right now. You should set up somewhere else. I couldn't help but advise him, charmed by his looks. This park is full of old folks. If you set up a stall near the university, business would be way better. The young mystic flashed a brilliant smile, revealing a set of bright white teeth. My reading told me my destined client would be here today. It seems that person is you, miss. You have a high, clear forehead and bright eyes. It's obvious you're blessed with an exceptionally good fate. Me? A good fate? I let out a self-deprecating laugh. This kid was handsome, but his skills were seriously lacking. Your parents are wealthy and will live long lives. You were pampered since you were a child and have never known hardship. My parents died in a car crash when I was in high school. What? The confident smile froze on his lips, his handsome face clouding with doubt. A successful career and great wealth? My company went bankrupt this year. After paying off all the debts, I don't have a single penny to my name. As for assets, I jutted my chin toward the stalled building across the street. I sold the old house my parents left me, added my life savings, and bought a new place over there in cash. Construction has been halted for 3 years. The mystic's calm expression cracked. He was starting to doubt himself. A beautiful romance and a harmonious marriage? I just got dumped yesterday. My boyfriend of 3 years told me he's in love with my best friend. The young mystic fell silent. That backfired spectacularly. Seeing the utter embarrassment on his face, I felt a surge of sympathy. I took out my phone, sent him my last $200, and got up to leave. It was nice meeting you, mister, but your skills could use a little work. You've got to keep practicing. A strong hand grabbed my wrist. The young mystic stood up, and I realized how tall he was, nearly a head taller than me. I couldn't have been wrong. Give me your exact birth date and time. Let me calculate it again carefully. His young face was full of stubborn pride. He was a young guy who'd been proven wrong and couldn't back down. I understood. Fine, let him do his calculations. It felt nice to talk to someone before heading off to the great beyond. It wasn't like I'd get another chance to talk to anyone ever again. I quietly turned back and cooperatively gave him my birth details. The mystic's brow furrowed deeper and deeper, tight enough to crush a fly. This isn't right. It can't be. Your 5 elements are in perfect balance. Your energy flows freely. This is the chart of a first-class, wealthy fate. Miss, wait a moment. His expression grew more and more serious. He pulled a bunch of items out of a box on the ground and placed them on the table. First, he took out a yellow cloth with a large bagua symbol drawn on it. He spread the cloth over the table, then brought out a small, antique-looking incense burner and reverently lit 3 sticks of incense. Finally, he carefully pulled a cloth-wrapped bundle from his robes. Inside were 3 gleaming copper coins. After setting everything up, the young mystic began to shake the coins for a reading. After tossing them 6 times, his face was a mask of disbelief, which soon turned into pure fury. He ground his teeth. How could someone be so utterly evil? I sat across from him, completely baffled. This kid was quite the drama queen. Miss, your fate has been stolen. What the hell? Can a person's fate be stolen? Seeing my disbelief, the young mystic got agitated. You were meant for a life of great wealth and fortune, surrounded by a loving family and blessed with a happy marriage. But someone coveted your destiny and swapped it with their own. Based on my calculations, a birth chart just one day after yours is fated for early parental death, a broken marriage, and a life without wealth. Someone swapped your fate. It was all so absurd. I looked at him seriously. Look, mister, I'm really broke. To be honest, I was on my way to jump off a building today. That $200 I sent you on Venmo was the last of my money. So, if you're trying to scam me, you should probably find someone else. The young mystic stared at me, fuming, his dark eyes wide with indignation. You don't believe me? Who could believe this? Your birth chart was swapped, your parents died young. There must be a problem with their graves. Take me to your parents' graves first. Let me see. At the mention of my parents, my eyes instantly welled up. The year of the car accident, Dad died at the scene, but Mom was still breathing. When I arrived at the hospital, she had just come out of surgery. Despite the heavy dose of anesthesia, she somehow managed to open her eyes. Nina, honey, Mom and Dad have to go now. You have to promise me you'll live a good life. You must live a good life. I'd held on until I was 27, but I just couldn't do it anymore. When I saw Mom and Dad in the underworld, they would be so disappointed in me. It was true that I hadn't visited them in a long time. I should see them before I go. I gave the mystic a look that said, I know you're scamming me, but I won't call you out on it, which only seemed to infuriate him more. My name is Leo. May I ask your name? I'm Nina Zhou. There's no time to waste. Let's go now. My parents were buried in our hometown, a picturesque little town in the south. I didn't even have money for a train ticket Leo had to pay. This made me even more uneasy. Was I really just heading off with a strange man? Was I about to get my kidneys harvested? Then again, besides my kidneys, I didn't have anything else of value. Sensing my anxiety, Leo sent me a picture of his ID. Relax, we're going to your hometown, not mine. Everyone in your town knows you. What are you afraid of in broad daylight? He had a point. Just then, an incredibly mismatched couple walked over from the next car. The woman was in her 30s, short, stout, and dark-skinned. She even had a faint mustache, looking like a little lump of coal. Before she even got close, a sour smell of sweat mixed with body odor wafted over, making my eyes sting. The man, however, was tall and handsome, with chiseled features and a lean build. He looked like he could be modeling for a fashion magazine. But the woman was clinging tightly to his arm, a blissful expression on her face. This woman was something else. I couldn't help but stare. Holy crap. Alex Gu. The guy was Alex Gu, a classmate of mine from high school. He was a well-known rich kid back home. His family owned numerous businesses, including, I'd heard, over a dozen factories. Alex was always arrogant, with his nose in the air. The girlfriends he'd had in the past were all gorgeous, like starlets, fair-skinned, beautiful, with long legs. We were in the same class in high school, but we barely interacted beyond a nod. Had Alex's taste changed so dramatically in just a few years? Bumping into an old classmate on the train, even one I barely knew, suddenly felt like a close reunion. Alex Gu. It's me, Nina Zhou. Alex's face lit up when he saw me, a genuine smile in his bright eyes. Nina Zhou, what a coincidence. It's been, 8 or 9 years? Alex, who's this? The woman beside him spoke, her voice hoarse and sharp, like a broken gong. The sense of dissonance grew even stronger. Alex and his girlfriend happened to have the seats right across from us. The whole time, the woman beside him kept staring at me with a cold, menacing gaze. I felt like I was being watched by a viper. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Leo looked back and forth between Alex and the woman, his expression a mix of surprise and suspicion, as if he expected a flower to bloom on Alex's face. When we heard Alex was taking the woman home to meet his parents, Leo and I couldn't help but exchange a look. True love. This had to be true love. The girl might be a little hard to look at, but she was certainly lucky. Leo gave me a look. Let's go grab a bottle of water. With that, he pulled me into the next car. Leo glanced around nervously to make sure Alex and his girlfriend hadn't followed before leaning close to my ear. Your classmate has been cursed, he whispered. We have to save him. I glared at him disapprovingly. Leo, you're a man of spirit. How can you judge a book by its cover? That girl might not be a looker, but maybe she has a wonderful personality. Leo slapped his forehead. Good heavens, when I say cursed, I mean literally cursed. Your friend has been hit with an obsession hex. According to Leo, the obsession hex was one of the most vicious types of insect curses. The caster places a parasitic worm into the victim's body. The obsession hex worm is translucent and pink, and it likes to live in the human brain, slowly eating away at it and taking control. Within a year, the victim becomes a walking puppet, completely obedient to the caster. After 2 years, the victim dies because their brain has been completely consumed. I was a graduate of a top university, and he was telling me this? I rolled my eyes. Do I look like I'm under an obsession hex? Leo looked at me anxiously. Curse casters are vicious and cunning. Those who use the obsession hex are extremely possessive of their victims. Your classmate smiled at you a moment ago, and that caster already has it in for you. Be careful. She'll try every trick in the book to get you to eat something she gives you. Don't take anything. Leo's expression was urgent, his eyes too sincere. Looking into his dark pupils, I found myself believing him a little. Could it be? Could something so outrageous really happen in the 21st century? If curses were real, did that mean my stolen fate was also real? So my parents' death wasn't an accident, it was murder. The train car was air-conditioned and cool, but a cold sweat broke out on my back. According to Leo, the person who did this had also tampered with my family's graves. The thought of being targeted and tormented for over a decade made my fists clench. Damn it! Who was it? I returned to our car clutching a bottle of water, so nervous I was practically walking with the same arm and leg forward. According to Leo, the curse's worm loved water, so victims of the obsession hex needed to drink constantly. Moreover, victims would have a pinkish tint at the corners of their eyes, giving them an unusually alluring look. I made these candies myself. Have one. Along with the hoarse voice, a dark, thick hand extended in front of me, holding several colorful candies in its palm. Gulp. I couldn't help but swallow. Oh my God, Leo was right. My Ollie is the best at making candy. Hers are better than anything you can buy in a store. Go on, try one, Alex urged me, his eyes full of warmth. The corners of his slightly upturned eyes had a faint, rose-pink hue, as if he were wearing the brightest blush. That's so nice, but I'm on a diet. I can't have sugar. Oh, well, that's a shame. The woman withdrew her hand. She was smiling, but her eyes were dark and gloomy, fixed on my face like a vicious stray dog ready to pounce. Oh my God, this was terrifying. Under the table, I instinctively squeezed Leo's hand. Just as Leo had said, Alex was chugging bottle after bottle of water, as if he had a bottomless pit for a stomach. In less than 30 minutes, there were 10 empty water bottles on the table. Everything Leo said was true. Alex had been cursed by the woman next to him. And my fate had been stolen. Leo used his other hand to pat mine reassuringly, and my racing heart began to slow down. I have some bread. It's delicious, want some? The woman across from me, relentless, offered me a bag of bread. The fingers holding it were thick and dark, with dirt caked under the nails. I forced a smile. Thank you so much, but I'm on a diet. I really can't. Her patience was clearly wearing thin. She shot up from her seat, grabbed my face, and roughly shoved a piece of bread into my mouth. It happened so fast neither Leo nor I could react. Alex was startled too. He came to his senses and pulled the woman back down, trying to smooth things over. Haha, my Ollie is just a little too enthusiastic. Nina, don't mind her. Leo's face was grim. He stood up and pulled me away. Nina, come here for a second. I need to talk to you. He walked so fast my wrist ached from his grip. When we reached the restroom at the end of the next car, he shoved me inside. Crap. Quick, quick. He pulled a yellow talisman from his bag, and with a few quick hand signs, it burst into flames. He grabbed my face and shoved the burning talisman into my mouth. Just this morning, I was thinking that with a life as rotten as mine, things couldn't possibly get any worse. You really shouldn't jinx yourself. Now here I was, hiding in a high-speed train's bathroom, eating a burning piece of paper, trying to vomit up a curse worm from my stomach. What the hell? As the talisman went down, I could feel something large and slimy crawling up my throat. It was wet and sticky, blocking my airway. I started seeing spots, unable to breathe. Seeing this, Leo slapped me hard on the back. Blech! A blue toad the size of my palm fell into the toilet bowl. It was covered in red bubbles, and its eyes were a startling yellow. It looked both vibrant and grotesque. Leo moved quickly, pulling a bag of white granules from his robes. The bag read edible salt, the uniodized kind. As he dumped the entire bag of salt, red smoke rose from the toad in the toilet. It writhed a few times and quickly shriveled into a flat, blue toad skin. I clutched my throat, staring in horror at the skin in the bowl. In that moment, everything I had believed for over 20 years shattered. I thought this kind of magic wasn't supposed to be real. Wasn't anyone going to do something about this blatant display of superstition? Did you just throw a bag of salt on it? Leo nodded, still shaken. Most curse insects are like leeches. Salt creates a highly concentrated solution on their skin. Due to osmosis, all the fluid inside them is drawn out, and they die of dehydration. Was this really the time for a science lesson? Leo said he was worried that a confrontation on the train would harm innocent people. So we stood meekly in the aisle, too scared to return to our seats. After standing there for half an hour, the train finally pulled into the station. Leo and I bolted out as if a pack of wild dogs were chasing us. Are we just going to let it go? I kept looking back over my shoulder as we hurried away, fine beads of sweat forming on my forehead. Of course we can't just leave him to die. It was too crowded on the train. Once I'm properly prepared, I'll go take care of that curse caster. I felt like such a coward and so selfish. When my parents died in that car crash my sophomore year of high school, the school waived my tuition and organized a fundraiser for me. Alex's family company sent $10,000 directly. When I tried to pay it back after I graduated and started earning money, his parents refused, saying it was a charitable donation, and they couldn't take it back. No matter how you look at it, I owed Alex a huge favor. But I had been so scared by that curse caster that all I could think about was running away. When you're ready, I'll go with you. I know where his family lives. Steeling myself, I made a promise to Leo. I'm a fast runner. I can definitely be helpful. Leo looked at me with a relieved, fatherly expression. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. You're a good person, Nina. By the time we reached my parents' grave, it was evening. The last rays of the sunset painted the sky red. Lush pomegranate trees surrounded the grave, making the scenery quite beautiful. Leo was shocked. Why did your family plant pomegranate trees by the grave? He walked around the trees, stopping at the largest one. He patted it, touched it, and leaned in for a closer look. After a few moments, he pulled a pair of pliers from his bag. I stood by, utterly confused. His cloth bag was like Doraemon's pocket, it had everything. With a few quick moves, Leo pulled 9 nails of various sizes from the tree trunk. The nails were long and short, the longest was the size of my palm, and the shortest was half a finger's length. Leo held the nails in his hand, his face grim. What are those? Why are there nails in the tree? Pomegranate trees have extremely aggressive root systems that grow deep into the burial plot. Roots in a grave mean the deceased can no longer rest in peace. They will be pierced by the roots, unable to reincarnate for all eternity. Look at this circle of 7 pomegranate trees, with nails embedded in their trunks and their roots intertwined below. This is called a heaven and earth net trap. It's designed to trap the souls of the dead here forever, preventing reincarnation. Worse, the souls are tormented day and night by the feeling of roots growing through them. Over time, their spirits will shatter and vanish from existence completely. I stood there, my face pale, clenching my fists to stay upright. My uncle, he had these trees planted. Leo said that whoever stole my fate and caused my parents' unnatural deaths would be terrified of their souls reporting the crime in the underworld. That's why they sealed them in this grave, waiting for their spirits to dissipate and vanish completely. No wonder my family's fortune had declined over the years while my uncle's family grew richer and richer. They bought a new house, new cars, and opened a factory. My cousin even went to study abroad. Wait a minute. My cousin was 2 years older than me. According to Leo, the person who stole my fate had a birthday just 1 day away from mine. My uncle's family must have been accomplices. Leo, I'm going to borrow a shovel from someone in the village. We're digging these trees up right now. Leo stopped me and handed me a tissue. I wiped my face with the back of my hand and realized it was covered in tears. After my parents died, my uncle and aunt took on the responsibility of caring for me. They let me live with them until I graduated from college and moved to Chicago for work. My uncle and aunt were incredibly good to me, even better than they were to my own cousin. Whenever there was good food or drink in the house, they always thought of me first. My cousin often threw tantrums about it, saying her parents were playing favorites. My wonderful uncle and aunt, my closest relatives, were accomplices in my parents' murder. Who in this world could I trust? Don't tip them off. We can't cut down the trees yet. First, I need to figure out a way to restore your parents' souls. Leo patted my shoulder comfortingly, then took a bunch of items from his bag and began setting up a new formation. I sat nearby, hugging my knees. The mountain wind was a bit chilly, but my heart was even colder. Leo had said that to swap my fate, they needed not only my birth chart, hair, and fingernails but also a beloved object I'd had since childhood. My cousin's voice echoed in my memory, distant at first, then growing clearer. Nina, I saw people on TV yesterday making bracelets out of hair. Let's cut off a piece of ours and make some. Nina, let me trim your nails. They just scratched my arm. Nina, can I borrow your doll for a few days? I'll trade you for one of mine. When we were little, my cousin was very affectionate, always calling my name. But after I turned 8 or 9, she stopped liking me. Around that time, our family's fortunes started to decline. Business got worse and worse, and we moved from a villa to a small apartment. Meanwhile, my cousin's family was doing better and better, their success soaring. I clenched my fists. The person who stole my birth chart had to be connected to my uncle's family. I had to stay calm. I couldn't let hatred blind me. I couldn't let them know I'd discovered their secret. Leo dug holes and buried things around the gravesite. After a while, he finally finished. Where to next? I glanced at his dust-covered robes. Showing up at home looking like that would definitely raise suspicion. First, let's get you a change of clothes. I stood at the front door with a brand new looking Leo, took a deep breath, and rang the doorbell. My cousin, whom I hadn't seen in years, opened the door. She was wearing heavy, glamorous makeup and designer clothes from head to toe. Well, look what the cat dragged in. In the past, I would have felt guilty for stealing my aunt and uncle's affection. Now this family just made me sick. My uncle's family had a guest, a gorgeously dressed girl with a tall, slender figure and perfect makeup. Even her hair seemed to scream expensive. My cousin, Jessica Jo, raised an eyebrow and introduced the striking girl with a smug look. Let me introduce you. This is Tiffany Tang, daughter of the Tang real estate family. And this is my cousin Nina Jo. Tiffany sat there primly, not even bothering to look up. My cousin Jessica bustled around her, offering fruit and tea, busier than a maid. Just then, my uncle and aunt came out of the kitchen. My uncle was overjoyed to see me, his wrinkles smoothing out as he smiled. Nina, you should stay for a while this time. Your aunt has your room cleaned every day, it's spotless. And this is... My nails dug into my palms as I forced a bright smile at my uncle. This is my colleague. You can call him Leo. We're here on a business trip, so we'll have to trouble you and Auntie for a little while. Ahem, Nina Jo. I hear you were high school classmates with Alex Gu from the Gu group? Apparently annoyed by my uncle's attention to me, my cousin cleared her throat, pulling everyone's focus back to her. Let me fill you in. Miss Tiffany Tang here is Alex Gu's fiancée. So you two aren't exactly strangers. Fiancé. I looked up in surprise. But I just saw Alex on the train this afternoon. He was with his girlfriend, on his way to introduce her to his parents. What did you say? A shrill shriek cut through the air. Tiffany's face changed dramatically. She shot up, knocking over her teacup in the process. I pointed at Leo. My colleague and I saw them together. We were on the same train back, sitting right across from them. Seeing Tiffany's anger, my cousin grew flustered and snapped at me. What nonsense are you talking about? Alex and Tiffany are getting engaged next month. The date is already set. Oh, looks like someone got scooped. For some reason, the moment I saw Tiffany, I felt a wave of unease, a strange urge to grab her by the hair and start a fight. She had this high and mighty attitude, as if she were a god and the rest of us were ants beneath her feet. I shook my head. What was wrong with me? She just had a sour look on her face. Why was I imagining all this drama? I felt like something was off with me. Tiffany stormed out in a rage. My cousin shot me a glare and hurried after her. A little while later, Jessica came back, her face dark. She slammed her phone onto the sofa, looking like I owed her $1 million. Nina Zhou, do you have any idea who Tiffany Tang is? Tang Real Estate is our family's biggest client. The scraps that fall from between their fingers are enough to feed our whole family. And now you've gone and offended her. I rolled my eyes. How did I offend her? I was just telling the truth. You really saw Alex with another woman? My cousin eyed me suspiciously. When I nodded firmly, she panicked. This is bad. I have to look into this. If the engagement party is cancelled, Tiffany is going to throw a massive fit. What did you say? Tiffany Tang is the one who stole my fate. It's just a suspicion, Leo said patiently, pulling me back to sit on a chair in my bedroom. That Tiffany Tang has a cruel face, with high cheekbones and a sunken forehead. The bone structure of someone destined for disaster. Someone who would bring ruin to her parents. But her features are overlaid with a faint veneer of nobility, like a beggar dressed in new clothes. It's completely unnatural. Either a powerful master altered her birth chart, or she performed some monumental act of kindness that changed her destiny. Both are possibilities. If her birthday is just one day different from yours, then we can be almost certain it's her. I fiddled with my fingers, not saying a word. My gut told me it had to be her. My cousin, who was usually so arrogant, was willing to be her lackey. And the way my aunt was so obsequiously trying to please her, there was definitely something more to Tiffany Tang. Leo sighed and scratched his head. There's a big problem now. Your classmate is being targeted by a curse caster. This Tiffany is probably in danger. Was this what they called watching dogs bite dogs? Leo saw right through me and shook his head disapprovingly. You shouldn't think that way, Nina. What if Tiffany isn't the one who stole your fate? An innocent person could get hurt. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. I finally gave up and searched for Tang Real Estate on my phone. I actually found something. When I was little, an old mystic came to our village to tell fortunes. He spotted me immediately. He said I had a rare and auspicious fate. I would bring prosperity to my parents and later to my husband. A life of wealth and blessings. After I was born, my family's business flourished, and we soon moved from the village to the city. The villagers were envious and spread rumors, saying it was all because of my lucky birth chart bringing wealth to my parents. Looking back, the seeds of disaster were sown right then. When I was 10, I came down with a mysterious illness and was hospitalized for a month. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong with me, but I had a high fever every day and was in and out of consciousness. Then, just as mysteriously, I got better. But from that point on, our family's business went downhill, and my parents' health deteriorated. Now that I think about it, that must have been when my fate was stolen. And Tang Real Estate also appeared out of nowhere that same year, and began to grow rapidly. I just needed to find out what year Tiffany was born. I'd confirm it with my cousin tomorrow. I ate breakfast downstairs and waited for a while before my cousin finally drifted down, still half asleep. Jess, are you going to see Tiffany today? My enthusiasm was a bit unusual, and my cousin glanced at me suspiciously. Why? I was looking her up yesterday and realized just how huge Tang Real Estate is. I heard from some high school classmates that her family lives in a massive villa on an estate. That's insane. I've never even seen a mansion like that. My cousin's chin lifted with pride, as if she were the one living in the mansion. Country bumpkin. I happen to be going over to Tiffany's later. You can tag along. I feigned excitement and nodded. After all these years, my cousin hadn't changed one bit. And just like that, Leo and I got into Tiffany Tang's house. Surprisingly, Alex and that curse caster, Ollie, were also there. My cousin stared at Ollie in shock, her eyes wide and her mouth hanging open, speechless for a long moment. Even if you don't want to go through with this marriage, you don't have to find a woman like this just to spite me, do you? Tiffany's chest heaved, her face flushed red. The veins in her temples throbbed. I was afraid she was going to have an aneurysm right there. Alex looked at the curse caster with deep affection. Don't you dare talk about Ollie like that. In my eyes, she's the most wonderful girl in the world. Alex Goo, how dare you bring this old, ugly, fat, dark-skinned pig here to humiliate me? Tiffany was so enraged she lost all reason and started spewing insults. The curse caster was clearly angered. She glared viciously at Tiffany. Just then, a green-headed fly appeared in the pristine living room, buzzing around Tiffany's head. Maria, are you dead? Can't you see the fly in the living room? A dog would be more useful than you. After swatting at the fly a couple of times, Tiffany redirected her fury toward the housekeeper standing nearby. Hurry up and gulp. The moment Tiffany opened her mouth to roar again, the green fly flew straight in, and she swallowed it. Ew. Everyone in the room recoiled in disgust. My cousin even covered her mouth, looking like she was about to vomit. This was a huge green-headed fly, at least twice the size of a normal one, with a strange green sheen on its head that looked especially nauseating in the sunlight. I couldn't help but press a hand to my chest. If I wasn't mistaken, that was another curse worm, released by the caster. At least I was polite enough that I only got bread, not a fly. It's all about perspective. Thinking about it that way made me feel a lot better. Tiffany let out an earth-shattering scream. Leo grabbed me, and we quickly slipped away. Did Tiffany get cursed too? Leo stomped ahead, his eyes wide with anger, which actually looked kind of cute. I can't believe I was so blind. That Tiffany is so cruel. She couldn't have done a single good deed in her life. She must be the one who stole your fate. The curse she got isn't that bad. It just makes a person get fat, dark, short, grow a mustache, get acne, lose their hair, and so on. It's not life-threatening. We should focus on saving your friend first. He's in more danger. Not that bad. Curse casters really do hold a grudge. Tiffany called her fat, ugly, and old, so she immediately cursed Tiffany to become even fatter, uglier, and older. Leo said that swapping a fate back was extremely complicated and required a lot of preparation, so we couldn't rush it. The most urgent task was to save Alex. So the two of us immediately headed over to Alex's house. Alex's parents were very kind and gentle people. I had visited them every year since I graduated, and they always welcomed me warmly. I just never ran into Alex, so while I didn't know him well, I was quite familiar with his parents. But when we arrived today, Mrs. Goo's eyes were red. She took my hand and started crying before she could even speak. Nina, have you seen the girlfriend Alex brought home? We don't have high expectations for his future wife. It doesn't matter if she's rich or poor, as long as she's a good person, smart, ambitious, and preferably has some education. But the woman Alex brought back. I looked at Mrs. Goo's tear-streaked face, unsure of what to say. How do you tell someone their son has been cursed? Auntie, do you think it's possible Alex has been hypnotized? Hypnotized? Mrs. Goo's eyes lit up in an instant, gleaming with hope. I know a very good hypnotist. Maybe I should take Alex to see him tomorrow? The only problem is, his girlfriend seems to stick to him like glue every day. It's a bit inconvenient. Mrs. Goo happily slapped my hand. Nina, you clever girl. Why didn't I think of that? Alex has been acting strangely these past few days. He's completely subservient to that girlfriend of his. Their relationship looks less like a couple and more like a master and a servant. Tomorrow, I'll keep his girlfriend busy. You just go ahead and do what you need to do. With Mrs. Goo's help, our plan was already halfway to success. The curse caster may have had dark arts, but she was still a woman, and a woman from the mountains who hadn't seen much of the world. Mrs. Goo took her to browse jewelry stores, saying she wanted to buy her a welcome gift, and completely captivated her. After 3 rounds of shopping, Mrs. Goo made an excuse about an urgent company matter, and told Alex to go sign a document and come right back. The curse caster hesitated for a moment, but ultimately chose Jules over her man. I was already waiting outside the mall in the Gu family's chauffeur-driven car. The moment Alex got in, Leo reached out from the back seat and slapped a yellow talisman into his mouth. What the hell? Who was that? Alex was startled. He turned to glare at Leo, then turned back and saw me. Nina Zhou? What are you doing here? Where's my driver? I saw Leo nod reassuringly in the rearview mirror, before I let out a breath of relief. Dude, do you not know you've been cursed? What are you talking about? A thought seemed to strike him. Alex's face went pale. He bent over, covered his mouth, and started retching violently. The talisman Leo had given him could sever the connection between the curse worm and Alex, allowing him to briefly regain his senses while also confusing the worm, so the caster wouldn't notice. Alex had it rough. He was on a business trip to NYC and was walking into his hotel when he saw a security guard trying to kick out the curse caster. She fell, and seeing her bloated figure, he thought she was pregnant and went over to help her up. The moment he touched her, he was targeted and cursed. This world was too complicated. It wasn't just the elderly you shouldn't help up. I floored it, speeding to a villa on the outskirts of the city. This villa was also arranged by Alex's mom. It had a huge south-facing courtyard that was now bathed in bright sunlight. Leo dragged Alex to the center of the yard and quickly tied him up like a mummy. Alex looked at us, completely bewildered. It's summer, it's boiling hot. What are you guys doing? Leo and I hid in the shade, wiping sweat from our brows. Under a large tree were 2 lounge chairs and a basin of clear water. I don't know what Leo put in the water, but it gave off an alluringly fresh scent. I fanned myself, sipped my tea, and let out a contented sigh. Alex, Master Leo says the curse worm and you can't stand yang energy. It's noon right now, when the sun's energy is at its peak. You bake in the sun for 2 hours, and that worm will be forced to crawl out of your body to get a drink. So just bear with it. Under the sun, Alex's fair skin was already turning red. Leo had used thick hemp ropes to bind him tightly, making his muscles bulge through the ropes, giving him a strangely tempting, restrained look. With a body like that, no wonder the curse caster had targeted him. In the sweltering noon heat, I was dozing off in my lounge chair when a coughing sound came from Alex, who was kneeling in the middle of the yard. Leo and I shot up. The worm was coming out. I have never in my life witnessed such a bizarre and disgusting scene. Alex's mouth was wide open, and a pink sea cucumber-like creature was slowly crawling out. This was the first time I found the color pink so repulsive. And sea cucumbers. As if it had scented the water, the pink creature's head turned in our direction. The thing actually had a single gray eye, which was now looking at us hesitantly, as if it wanted to come closer, but didn't dare. Alex's mouth was agape, tears streaming from the corners of his eyes. It looked as if the creature was a tentacle extending from his own mouth, a sight that deeply scarred my fragile soul. Alex must have realized we wanted the creature to come closer. Veins popped on his forehead, and his eyes showed a look of agony, but he still managed to struggle to his feet. Oh my God, he looked like a monster from a foreign horror movie. I shot up and hid behind a tree, leaving the front lines to Leo. Alex staggered toward us. The creature was caught by surprise. It clearly wanted to retreat back into Alex's stomach, but it was too late. With lightning speed, Leo grabbed the creature and violently yanked it out. Damn, that thing was at least a meter long. I don't know what Leo sprinkled on the creature, but it instantly shrank to the size of a finger and writhed on the ground. Leo took out a glass jar, put the creature inside, and finally wiped the sweat from his forehead. I peeked out from behind the tree. Alex was on the ground, coughing violently, tears in his eyes. I walked over, patted his shoulder, and handed him a bottle of water. Oh God, I'm so unclean. Alex took the water and gargled frantically. A moment later, he grabbed my hand and looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Nina Zhou, you can never tell anyone what happened today. It's too humiliating. I looked at him sympathetically. You do remember parading that curse caster around town, telling everyone she was your girlfriend, right? It's over. Alex's face went white as a sheet, and he collapsed onto the ground with a look of utter despair. But it wasn't over. Leo had only dealt with the curse worm, not the caster. What? I have to go back and pretend to be a couple with that terrifying woman. Poor Alex. Leo told him to act like nothing had happened and find an excuse to lure the curse caster back here next week. I've placed a drop of the worm's essence on you. She won't notice anything is wrong for a little while. Bring her here next week, and we can solve this problem once and for all. Alex left with a life is not worth living expression on his face. Leo and I went back to my uncle's house. As planned, I deliberately brought up the pomegranate trees at my parents' grave during dinner, saying they were bad, and I wanted to replace them with osmanthus trees. Absolutely not. My usually kind uncle flew into a rage, slamming his hand on the table with a deafening bang. Nina, that's just disrespectful. Your father loved pomegranate trees, and they've been there for so many years. You can't just meddle with things at a gravesite. Nina, you're just a kid. You don't understand the gravity of this. How can you change something like that on a whim? You think it's like changing clothes? My aunt chimed in, her voice sharp and shrill, making me want to cover my ears. I stood up angrily as well. It's my parents' grave, and I'll decide what to do with it. I wasn't asking for your permission. And besides, Uncle, my father never liked pomegranate trees. You must be misremembering. The meal ended on a sour note. I went outside for some fresh air and saw a furtive figure not far away. Alex. Alex's face lit up when he saw me. He rushed over and pulled me aside. Nina Jo, you're finally out. Shouldn't you be with your curse caster? What are you doing here? Hey, what do you mean my curse caster? Alex glanced around nervously. Where's Master Leo? He's inside, trying to get information out of them. Don't worry, Leo said the next few days aren't a good time to act. He doesn't have everything he needs yet. Alex sighed. He said he'd taken the curse caster shopping for jewelry and used an important work matter as an excuse to slip away. It seems women truly have no resistance to gold and jewels, not even curse casters. Alex and I lay back in his car, looking at the stars. Not the stars in the sky, but the starlight headliner in his car. It must be nice to be rich. If my fate hadn't been stolen, I would have had a very happy life too. Nina Jo, how do you know Leo? I told Alex about my stolen fate. He shot up straight. Holy crap. I know who helped Tiffany Tang steal your fate. Alex explained that because of the planned marriage alliance with Tiffany's family, his family had investigated her ancestors for 18 generations. Tiffany's grandfather was a well-known sorcerer in their area. He had been in perfect health until Tiffany turned 10, when he suddenly fell ill and died, his body rotting away. Everyone said he must have performed some major, heaven-defying magic and suffered a backlash. I heard that when he died, he was so decomposed he was barely recognizable. And strangely, after her grandfather died, her family's fortunes started improving day by day. Her parents even had a son. Now their company is pretty big otherwise. My family wouldn't have arranged for me to marry her. I can't believe her family is so disgusting. Don't worry, I'll help you get your fate back. Alex looked even angrier than I was. He'd been cursed, and I'd had my fate stolen. We were two peas in a pod. After talking for a while, Alex's phone rang. He answered it with a look of grim resignation. Okay, honey, I'll be right back. TSK. Life really isn't easy. Nina, if I can persevere through this, you have to be strong too. I'll help you. Alex patted my hand and sped off. Watching his car disappear, I reflected on how the human heart is the most inscrutable thing in the world. The people closest to you want to harm you, while a near stranger wants to save you. But there was one thing I didn't understand. Why would my uncle's family collude with outsiders to harm us? Wouldn't our family getting rich be more beneficial to them than Tiffany Tang's family getting rich? When I got back to my room, Leo came in, his face beaming. I've come up with a brilliant idea. Tiffany has been cursed and her appearance will change drastically in a few days. We'll find someone to spread the word that she stole someone's fate and is now suffering a backlash. The only way for her to survive is to switch it back. That was a brilliant idea. My approval made Leo even more excited. I'll call my master right now and ask him to come help us put on a good show. Leo's master was an old Taoist with a long, flowing beard who looked every bit the part of an enlightened sage. Just his presence was enough to inspire confidence. My heart settled. With a look like that, he was pure persuasive power. Leo took his master to Tiffany Tang's house. I stayed home, pretending to watch TV calmly while my cousin paced anxiously nearby. Jess, what are you doing? You're making me dizzy. My cousin bit her lip, looking at me nervously. Do you think Tiffany is possessed? My expression was a perfect blend of surprise, doubt, and shock. I was impressed with my own acting. My cousin nodded fearfully, her voice tense. I went to see her this morning. In just a few days, she's doubled in size and shrunk by at least 4 inches. Oh my God, her face is covered in pustules like a toad. She smashed all the mirrors in her house and broke everything she could get her hands on. She looks absolutely terrifying. Her horrified expression brought me immense pleasure. I was going to have an extra bowl of rice later. Jess, why do you think Tiffany would suddenly get possessed like that? Do you think she did something terrible and this is her karma? Crash. My aunt came out with a platter of food. It slipped from her hands, and soup and food spilled all over the floor. That night, Leo sent me a message. The plan was a resounding success. As soon as his master arrived at Tiffany's house, he declared that he had seen a dark aura hanging over the property and was immediately welcomed in by the staff. After examining Tiffany, Leo's master announced that she was suffering a backlash from stealing someone's fate. He also said that the person whose fate was stolen must have died, along with others, and their vengeful souls had already filed a complaint in the underworld. If the fates weren't switched back, the Tang family would face ruin and death. Tiffany's parents were skeptical, but moments later, they received news that their most important project had run into serious trouble, and they might have to pay a massive penalty. Then, on his way home from school, Tiffany's younger brother was in a car accident. The car was totaled, but thankfully he was unharmed. Leo said that Alex had helped arrange the latter 2 incidents. This string of disasters immediately broke Tiffany's parents. They were probably now begging to switch our fates back. I put down my phone, a warmth spreading through my heart. How unfortunate, and yet, how fortunate. My life of misfortune was about to end, and those who had harmed me would surely pay a heavy price. The next day, I deliberately slept in, not coming downstairs until almost noon. As expected, my cousin, uncle, and aunt were all waiting. My cousin rushed forward, a look of delight on her face, and grabbed my hand. Nina, you're so lucky. I quietly pulled my hand away, feigning ignorance. Lucky how? A great master came to Tiffany's house and said she's been possessed. She needs someone with a special birth chart to help suppress the evil spirits. I looked at the birth chart, and it's yours. I gave her a suspicious look. You know my birth chart, Jess? I'm not even sure I know it myself. My aunt immediately interjected. Oh, everyone in the village used to say your birth chart was good. Our whole family remembers it. Nina, you know how rich the Tang family is, right? Her parents said if you agree to help, they'll give you $1 million. That's $1 million. I sneered inwardly. What they had taken from me was worth far more than $1 million. And what about my parents' lives? Could money ever make up for that? I pretended to hesitate and shook my head. How will they suppress it? Will it have any negative effects on me? They're not going to transfer those unclean things to me, are they? Oh, don't be silly. This is a good thing. They have a master performing the ritual. A master would never harm anyone. My uncle and aunt also started trying to persuade me, saying how hard my life had been and that with this money, I could finally live comfortably. They insisted that family doesn't lie to family and guaranteed that this would only bring benefits, no harm. Under their combined assault, I very reluctantly agreed. The next day, I went to Tiffany's house as promised. Although I was mentally prepared, I was still shocked by her appearance. Her once fair skin was now dark and rough, covered in a dense rash of red bumps, some of which were large and oozing pus. Her once tall, willowy figure was now like a round barrel. Her height, once nearly 5 feet 7 inches, had shrunk to under 5 feet, and her long, silky hair was now thin and patchy, making her look disturbingly like that character from the Return of the Condor heroes who spit date pits like projectiles. For a beautiful girl who had once been so proud of her looks, turning into this was truly a fate worse than death. Tiffany was ecstatic to see me. A wheezing sound came from her throat, and her eyes, now just slits in her puffy face, shone with intense light. Following the instructions of Leo's master, Tiffany and I went into a sealed room. The walls were covered with Bagua symbols, and the floor was inscribed with a complex array of formations and undecipherable characters. Tiffany and I lay down in the center of the room, nervously waiting for the next step. At some point, I fell asleep. In a hazy state, I felt like I had arrived at a very warm place. My body had never felt so warm. My limbs were filled with strength. The palms of my hands and soles of my feet were burning hot, and the blood in my veins felt alive, surging joyfully through my body. I knew my fate had returned. I was the first to open my eyes. Leo's master was looking at me with a gentle smile. Staring into his kind eyes, mine suddenly welled up. I sat on the floor and began to sob, like a child who had been wronged for far too long. He walked over and gently patted my head. Let it all out. From now on, you can walk your golden path without fear. Tiffany was still asleep. Leo's master told her parents that she would sleep for 3 full days, and after that, everything would return to normal. Since they hadn't paid us yet, Tiffany's parents weren't worried about us running off. The 3 of us swaggered out of the Tang family's mansion. Now that my problem was solved, it was time to deal with the curse caster. Alex brought the curse caster to the suburban villa as planned. Seeing the courtyard full of magical arrays and the rest of us, she knew she had been tricked. She turned to Alex and sneered. Alex, you have a cruel heart, to do this to your own fiancé. Pa, I helped you out of kindness, and you tried to take my life. I've had enough of you. Seeing Alex's changed demeanor, the curse caster's eyes turned vicious. Her lips moved, chanting an arcane incantation. As the chant ended, Leo's backpack, which he had placed under a tree, exploded, splattering pink liquid everywhere. Was that the pink sea cucumber? If that thing had still been inside Alex, would his brain have exploded? Curse casters were truly ruthless. Alex's face turned white in an instant. He was clearly terrified. Alex, run! I yelled, seeing him still standing there in a daze. He snapped out of it and ran toward us, pursued by a swarm of snakes that had appeared from nowhere. I had no idea how the curse caster had hidden so many snakes on her person. At the same time, I deeply regretted coming along. I was just an ordinary person, and the sight of all these snakes and insects was both terrifying and nauseating. The curse caster and the master-disciple duo fought a battle of epic proportions, with dust and stones flying everywhere. Alex and I cowered to the side, ducking and weaving, trembling in fear. Holy crap! This is mind-blowing. I can't believe the stuff in novels is real. Oh my God! Alex, there's a huge spider by your foot. Ultimately, the curse caster was no match for Leo's master. Before long, she was defeated and kicked unconscious by Leo. Every curse caster has a life source insect that they raise inside their body, which is the origin of all their magic. Using some unknown technique, Leo's master soon made the curse caster spit out a golden silkworm. Leo poured an entire bag of salt on the silkworm, and just like the toad before, it quickly shriveled into a dried husk. Alex watched in amazement. I stood beside him, providing commentary. It's called osmosis. Without her life source insect, the curse caster was just an ordinary person. Alex had her arrested for theft. She had been greedy and had stolen a considerable amount of jewelry from his mother's room while staying at their house. The value was so high that she would be spending the rest of her life in prison, unable to harm anyone else. According to Leo, with the life source insect gone, the curse on Tiffany should have been lifted. But strangely, Tiffany didn't change. She remained in her hideous, witch-like state. With her looking like that, the marriage alliance with Alex's family was naturally called off. Now that my fate was restored, I had nothing left to worry about. Alex now followed me around everywhere, saying we were comrades who had been through life and death together, and my business was his business. So this morning, I brought him and Leo to my parents' grave, ready for a major showdown. Stop. Stop right there. The workers had just started chopping down one of the pomegranate trees when my uncle and his family arrived, panting and out of breath. Nina, what are you doing? Are you trying to disturb your parents' eternal rest? My uncle immediately accused me of being an unfilial daughter, right in front of the crowd of villagers who had gathered to watch the spectacle. That's how it is in a small town. The slightest disturbance, and the whole village wants to get involved in your business and watch the drama unfold. I didn't even bother to look up. I simply bowed and invited Leo's master to step forward. Still looking every bit the part of an otherworldly sage, he walked a circle around the grave. He announced that my fortune had been stolen, which had led to my parents' early deaths and my family's decline. He added that the thief, terrified of my parents reporting the crime in the afterlife, must have tampered with the grave itself. The village erupted in an uproar. Most rural people had never heard of such things. Good heavens, I thought we weren't supposed to believe in this superstitious stuff anymore. Can things like this still happen? It must be fake. Is this mystic a con artist? I wouldn't be so sure. Everyone in the village knew that Zhou girl was born lucky. Who wasn't jealous of her? But after she got sick at 10, it was like she was cursed with bad luck. No one had it worse. Maybe her fortune really was stolen. Nina, this is nonsense. My great-uncle also ran over, slapping his thigh in distress. My grandfather had died young, so my great-uncle was our only remaining elder in the village. Great-uncle, you'll see if it's nonsense in a minute. I had someone hold back my great-uncle and my uncle's family, then waved for the workers to continue. Soon, dozens of long and short nails were pulled from the pomegranate trees, and jars were dug up from beneath their roots. When the jars were opened, a foul stench filled the air. I had them placed to the side. A few brave villagers crept closer to look. The jars were filled with countless rat skeletons, clearly dead for many years. The crowd fell silent. Even though it was morning and the sun was making everyone sweat, a chill ran through them, and they couldn't stop shivering. The tombstone was removed, revealing the joint burial chamber. Inside, a dense web of roots had pierced straight through the urns. A black cloth lay over them, covered with the traditional character for suppress written over and over. I clutched the urns and burst into tears. The villagers gathered around, and many of them started crying with me. This is worse than death. What kind of monster would do this? Wait, I remember it was Nina's uncle who had these trees planted, right? And wasn't he the one who buried the urns? My great-uncle trembled as he stepped forward and slapped my uncle across the face. You vile monster! You killed your own brother. How can you live with yourself? No wonder you've been buying new houses and cars these past few years. Was it your family that stole Nina's fortune? At that, my uncle could no longer bear it. He collapsed, crying, and confessed everything. It turned out that back then, when everyone in the village was talking about my lucky fate, Tiffany Tang's maternal grandparents, who were also from our village, heard about it and approached my uncle's family. They tricked my uncle, saying they knew a powerful master who could borrow a bit of luck from someone with a good fate to improve their own. My uncle's family, envious of our family's wealth, did as they were told and stole my birth chart and personal belongings. But they were deceived by the Tang family. They thought they were borrowing luck for themselves, but instead, they helped Tiffany swap her fate with mine. By the time they realized what had happened, it was too late. The Tang family gave them a hefty compensation and brought them into their business dealings, buying their silence. I never wanted to kill my brother. I was tricked. I was tricked. My uncle sobbed, clinging to my great-uncle's leg, a mess of tears and snot. The drama finally came to a close. Leo helped me choose an auspicious day to rebury my parents' ashes. That night, I had a dream. I saw my mom and dad looking just as they had years ago, smiling happily at me. They told me my life would only get better from now on, and they could finally rest in peace. The Tang family fell into complete ruin. Their company's projects failed one after another, and Tiffany's father was arrested for illegal fundraising. Their house and factories were seized, and they were left with nothing. The worst fate befell Tiffany, who would have to live the rest of her life with that terrifying appearance. With the Tang's downfall, my uncle's family also suffered. Because the Tangs were their biggest client, they couldn't collect on any of the outstanding payments. To pay off their debts to other clients, my uncle's family had to sell their house and cars in the city and move back to the village. But their reputation in the village was already ruined. People would throw dead rats and rotten vegetables at their house, saying they didn't welcome such black-hearted, rotten people back. Nina, you don't have to see us off. My master and I are heading back. I stood at the entrance to the train station, tearfully clutching the corner of Leo's robe. Master Leo, I haven't even thanked you properly. If it weren't for you, I'd be dead by now. I wiped away my tears, at a loss for how to express my gratitude. Leo winked at me. If you keep crying, Alex will think I'm bullying you. I've read both your birth charts. It's a match made in heaven. He'll be very good to you. Nina, you have to live a good life. Alex. I looked up through my tears, but Leo had already walked off with his master. Don't cry. If you miss Master Leo that much, how about we go visit him in a few days? Alex walked over, patted my shoulder comfortingly, and handed me a tissue. He was my match made in heaven? Looking at Alex's careful and concerned expression, I couldn't help but smile. My future self was going to be just fine. Yendi,